Welcome to Light Novel Sound, where we bring incredible light novels to life through immersive audiobooks you can enjoy for free. Today, we're diving into Weapon Seller in the World of Magic, a thrilling fantasy novel written by Snowstar and originally published on lightnovelworld.co. Meet Mark Spencer, a genius military weapon designer who was kidnapped and forced to create advanced weapons for the mafia, until he finally escaped, only to be betrayed and shot by his own comrades. But instead of dying, he wakes up in another world as Lu Zhen, armed with a powerful weapon system that lets him bring modern firepower into a realm ruled by magic. Bows and arrows? Outdated. Flying carpets? Obsolete. Fighting dragons? Why struggle when you can drop a nuclear bomb? Watch as Lu Zhen changes the balance of power in this world, introducing firearms, fighter jets, and war machines no one has ever seen before. If you enjoy this audiobook, please support the original work by reading Weapon Seller in the World of Magic on lightnovelworld.co. And if you like what we do, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support helps us continue bringing amazing stories to life. Now, sit back and enjoy the action. Chapter 21.2, Unlucky Mo Jiang, Part 2. Everything went well in Sector 9. However, the moment they entered Sector 8, problems arose. They saw a group of adventurers running towards him, followed by a horde of wild boars. Since the beasts were only a two-circle realm, Mo Jiang and others didn't care and advanced forward despite the warnings of other adventurers who were being chased. Everyone, get your weapons ready. Qian Di gave them an order and raised her bow. Within just a few minutes, the piece of land is covered with more than 500 bodies of wild boars. The dead bodies of the wild boars and their flowing blood attracted the attention of a few passing goblins that eventually spread the information to other goblin parties, feeling threatened by this team of 12. Unlike the boars that attacked all at once, the intelligent goblins tried to ambush them in smaller divisions. The team faced the ambush of the goblins 16 times, of which they fell into a trap more than 6 times. However, the adventurers were too strong for the goblins. So, they ended up getting massacred as a result. After the incident with goblins, once again, they met with a horde of orcs in Sector 7, which gave them a bit tough time as they were physically as strong as 4 circle realm beasts. As if they weren't enough, it was Coyote's turn to ambush them in the Sector 6. 3 adventurers got heavily injured while the other 7 were slightly injured. Only Mo Jiang, who had a rich amount of battle experience and were equipped with gold-graded equipment, and Qian Di, who was a 6-circle realm warrior, were completely unharmed. Eventually, they crossed the barrier and took a rest for a while before setting out towards the next sector, with everyone being on high alert. As if their luck has been returned, except for some 3 lone foxes on the way, they didn't encounter any beasts. Everyone sighed in relief. By the time they got into Sector 4, where their mission lies, it was almost dark. So, they returned back to Sector 5 and found a place to rest as they couldn't hunt in the dark. While the nobles in Sector 9 lit a campfire to have a nice sleep, these adventurers on the other hand believed that the fire would attract the attention of beasts lurking around. Because of the possibility of the serpent beasts on the trees, they couldn't help but lie on the ground. Moreover, the trees were too few at this place. So, the moonlight gave them an advantage of the vision. Everyone decided to take turns for guardian in pairs every 3 hours until the morning. By the time it was midnight, it was Mo Jiang and Qian Di's turn to watch. It would have been fine if both of them just stayed silent. However, being in a secret relationship, Mo Jiang couldn't hold back his lust now that everyone else is asleep. As the lady went with the flow, Mo Jiang could no longer be satisfied with kissing. Both of them slowly slipped away from there to go to the back of bushes that was around 100 meters away from the spot. However, just as they arrived at the place, both of them heard the bark within the bushes, followed by the appearance of a tiny adorable pup with grey fur. The lost puppy barked at the two of them continuously. Along with its adorable appearance, its glowing amber eyes attracted the lady. Cute! Qian Di smiled as she put forth her hand to pet the cub. The little pup licked her hands, taking a liking to her. It was only after Qian Di took it into her arms, She realized that it wasn't an ordinary pup but was a grey wolf pup. Meanwhile, Mo Jiang, whose mood turned worse, pointed his finger at it. Look carefully. This is a werewolf cub. This is dangerous. Let me end its life. As if the pup understood his words, it started to cry with a long howl. Qian Di quickly turned aside so that it couldn't see Mo Jian's face, and then warned him, "Don't you dare." She turned around and took away the pup with her back to where everyone else is sleeping, leaving behind an angry Mo Jiang. He gritted his teeth. That little. Mo Jiang also returned to the spot where he saw Chen Die was petting the little wolf while the latter is sleeping. His expression turned envious. A woo. However, right then, the entire surroundings were echoed by a powerful howl. Everyone immediately woke up from their sleep and became alert. Captain, that thing. They were also surprised to see a grey wolf pup in her hands that woke up by the howl and looked around curiously. A few seconds later, another howl was heard in the surroundings. This time, it appeared to be more powerful. Woof woof woof. The pup in Chen Die's hands responded with its tiny barks, but its range wasn't that much. It must be its mother. One of the team members voiced his opinion. Gripping the cub tightly, Chen Di spoke. If it is, then it's even better. Everyone get ready. Cinny, sleep it. Upon her order, one of the 4 Circle Realm adventurers from her team raised her staff and performed a spell on the pup. It went into sleep. She gave it to the magician and gave the order of keeping it safe. The poor girl, who was afraid to death, took the pup in her shivering hands. Chen Di then took out her bow and conjured an arrow made of flames. Everyone also got ready with their weapons. With 6 Circle Realm experts like Chen Di, the majority of them were confident in taking down the beast. But, in the next moment, as the howls multiply in every direction, everyone started to become nervous until they heard the violent crashing of the trees from all sides. Damn, what an unlucky day. Chen Di muttered her breath. Forming a plan in her head, she acted quickly. Change of plans. Let's retreat to Sector 7. Come with me. Picking up the wolf pup from her teammate, she quickly dashed away into the direction they came from. The others followed her. 3 black wolves that are in the 5 Circle Realm obstructed their path on the way. All of them launched attacks on the wolves and heavily injured them. Since they were out of time, they left them alive and continued to proceed forward. However, within just half an hour, they heard a powerful bark where the source appeared to be right behind them. Continuing to run ahead, they turned their heads a little only to witness a female humanoid creature chasing them. It has dog ears, grey fur here and there, claws, amber eyes, with the most important aspect being running on 4 limbs like an animal. The expression on its face says that it was extremely enraged. Several black wolves are following behind it. Werewolf is here. Everyone's heart skipped a beat. Chapter 22.3, Unlucky Mo Jiang, Part 3. Mo Jiang, here. Grab it for a second. Handing the wolf pup to her trusted secret boyfriend, she stopped running and turned around while conjuring another fire arrow, except that her aim doesn't appear to be the wolf though. Aiming at the ground in between the wolf and her, she fired the arrow. As soon as it touched the ground, an enormous explosion occurred, scaring the hell out of the wolves behind their leader. However, the werewolf didn't even flinch in surprise. Letting out another howl, she jumped into the flames and transformed into a large grey wolf, increasing its speed tremendously. Chen Di didn't rejoin the team and poured ether into the bow and conjured an energy arrow between her fingertips. She shot the arrow at it, but the grey wolf leaped into the air, not only dodging the arrow but also moving past her. She was taken aback at first only to realize that her pup is with Mo Jiang. So, it might not have any interest to fight with her. However, the black wolves are entirely another issue. They lunge at their delicious human prey as soon as spotting Chen Di. Soon, she was surrounded by a dozen black wolves. Meanwhile, the rest of the 11 members were panicked with the absence of their captain while they were being chased by the wolf. In the current situation, they couldn't bother to even think whether she was still alive or not, much less stop and turned around to see her. Captain Mo, it came for the pup. As Mo Jian's subordinate reminded him about it, something clicked in his mind and he too stopped moving. That's right. It's a werewolf that can understand humans' language. The others didn't care and continued to run away for their lives. Mo Jiang turns around and raised the cub with a serious look. And just like he expected, the grey wolf suddenly stopped and barked at him. I will give you this pup away and you and your pack will leave us alone. Mo Jiang tried to make a deal with it. He knew that even though only strength matters to werewolves, they are still very protective of their children due to the low birth rate. Woof! It let out a bark in response. Mo Jiang didn't understand what it was trying to say, but he couldn't trust its judgment either. He glanced around. A few black wolves surrounded him and his teammates are nowhere to be seen. He slowly stepped back and the grey wolf advanced a step forward. Well, there's no other choice, now. Mo Jiang took out a blood-red-colored pill from his storage ring and swallowed it right away. It was the advancement pill that temporarily raised his strength to the next realm for 1 hour. A tremendous amount of natural energy started to being absorbed into his body. Grr! The grey wolf growled as it saw the changes in this child kidnapper. It thought the human will try ambushing it. At the same time, the 5-circle realm wolves got a little bit wary, feeling threatened by his power. However, in the next second, to their surprise, instead of attacking, Mo Jiang poured ether energy into his arms, powering them up further, and threw the wolf pup away into the sky with all of his strength to redirect the attention of this werewolf. Woof! Just like he expected, the grey wolf leaped into the air to catch its pup. However, it missed and the sleeping pup was crashed into the top branch of a tree before falling down. Meanwhile, Mo Jiang, who started running in a random direction to escape from the predator, heard a long howl from behind that seemed to be full of pain. FK! He cursed himself for his bad luck and continued to run. 2 hours later, present. Sector 7, Olga, Blood Hill Forest. Not again. Mo Jiang successfully escaped from the pursuit of an angry werewolf only to realize that he was stumbled on the orc settlement this time. As an orc's physical strength is almost equal to that of a 4-circle realm, once again, he started running away. Even though the orcs were physically strong, their movement speed was quite less. So, it became easier for Mo Jiang to escape their pursuit. After escaping from the orcs, Mo Jiang started to walk down towards Sector 8. He wanted to rest there until the morning as he was dead tired from running for several hours. On his way, he was contemplating the experiences of the events that occurred in the past 12 hours. First, a horde of wild boars, then several ambushes of goblins, then orcs, then coyotes, and now a werewolf with a pack of wolves. On top of that, the pup that was supposed to just fly into the sky, probably being dead by bad angle. Sigh. I must really be the unluckiest person on the planet. He couldn't help but think that the day didn't go well. He was really unlucky. Do you know that what the most powerful thing in the world? Suddenly, a memory triggered in his head and the question repeated in his ears. Mo Jiang halted his movements. He felt like it was too coincidental. Did he do something? He couldn't help but wonder whether that person he met in the store put a curse on him secretly or something. After all, curse magic spells aren't that rare in the Empire. Several black magicians were adept in it, although most of them belonged to dark guilds. Once I left the forest, I need to visit the church and check whether there's any curse placed on me. If it turns out to be true. Mo Jiang clenched his fist while saving Mark's image to his memory just in case so that he could take his revenge later. Right then, he saw the silhouette of 2 people sitting nearby a tree. Here, the forest was thick and moonlight hardly penetrating the trees to illuminate the area. So, the surroundings were quite dim. Thinking that it might be either his teammates who were separated from him or some adventurers that are taking a rest, Mo Jiang called out. Hey! You two, over there. Who are you? As usual, despite the situation he was in, his arrogance never waned off. To his surprise, one of them stood up on his feet and dashed towards him with a staff. Hey! Mo Jiang was taken aback a bit. With his legs being extremely tired from all the running, he couldn't dodge as a bald short guy in monk robes smashed his head. As Mo Jiang immediately fell on his back, the former monk and the young assassin left the place, thinking that he was dead. Several hours later, Mo Jiang's consciousness returned. He felt heat all over his body as if his skin is burning. He opened his eyes. Hey! This time, he was tied to a pole that was suspended horizontally and was being rotated constantly just a foot above the fire. Around him, there were dozens of goblins, trying to roast after failing to kill him with their weapons. I will kill you all. Mo Jiang's eyes turned red as he roared on top of his lungs. While the enraged Mo Jiang went on a killing spree in one of the goblin settlements at Nerwi region, at the same time, hundreds of kilometers away, there's another person who was also involved with Mark, now traveling in a caravan. Chapter 23, Hua Fen becomes a prisoner. Hua Fen is a small merchant from Western Yang, the biggest vassal state of the Phoenix Empire. It used to be an independent kingdom ruled by Feng clan, but because of a certain incident more than 10 years ago, it became the part of Phoenix Empire and was currently ruled by the Ji clan, which is one of the 12 major noble clans. He used to travel places in Western Yang and buy specialties at a town and sell in the capital city for small-time profits. To make larger profits, one day, he decided to venture outside of Western Yang to sell the things native to Western Yang in Imperial City. However, he didn't expect that his first experience outside his homeland would almost turn into horror with bandits obstructing his path. Thankfully, 2 adventurers passed that area by coincidence and saved him. There, he got enamored with the never-seen weapon in his homeland. After buying pistols from Mark, he sold the rest of his things at the market and started to return. Originally, he wanted to go alone, but remembering his previous experience with the bandits, he decided to hire a few adventurers. However, upon visiting the Adventurer Association, Hua Fen realized that adventurers are really expensive. Then, a passerby adventurer told him that there's a caravan full of 32 members that were traveling to Western Yang the next day morning. He inquired about it and learned that it is accompanied by a team of 5 adventurers, of which everyone is in a 2-circle realm. He went to the caravan counter and paid cheap transportation plus a protection fee of 5 silver coins. After resting in a cheap inn for the night, he joined the caravan and set out for his homeland as soon as the sun rose. Everything went well for a few hours. As they crossed a small forest, there's even an attack by bandits on the way and were dealt with quickly. However, he didn't expect real trouble has arrived as soon as they reached the Kunyu mountain range, which almost acts as a natural barrier against the rest of the empire. As they entered the valley of Kunyu, the caravan was once again attacked by bandits. However, this time, they were sheer in number and there were a lot of spirit warriors in this gang too. An intense battle emerged between the guardians and the bandits. Some people ran away to escape. They were chased by bandits to kill. Others decided to surrender and stayed still, waiting for the outcome between 25 bandits and 5 adventurers. Hua Fen knew that if the adventurers get defeated, then his goods will be stolen away and they were more important than his life. He opened 2 boxes from the cart. One is full of bullets and the other had a pistol. It took a while for him to load it. From the distance, he aimed at one of the nearest bandits who were filled with injuries. He clicked the trigger. Bang! A loud sound echoed throughout the surroundings and made everyone flinch in surprise. Hua Fen himself appeared to be shocked, not because of the sound but because of an adventurer fighting for them let out a piercing scream as his upper right arm was injured and blood started to trickle down. The bullet was too fast for anyone to see it. Even the victim just thought it was probably the attack of one of the bandits. Only Hua Fen knew that he misfired. What shocked him is that the bullet indeed managed to injure a 2-circle realm warrior. Hua Fen got a little bit confident on the weapon in his hands. This time, in order to not injure an ally, he aimed at the group of bandits that surrounded another adventurer. He clicked the trigger once again and involuntarily closed his eyes. Bang! Once again, a loud sound similar to that of an explosion in the surroundings scared everyone a little bit. As Hua Fen opened his eyes, The bullet pierced the side of a one-circle realm bandit's neck, instantly killing him in the process. While his death made the others into a little bit of confusion, a couple of bandits saw a strange weapon in Hua Fen's hands where smoke was generating from the edge of its barrel. A bandit dashed towards Hua Fen with his sword as he reloaded one. Looking at the incoming attacker, the merchant realized that the target was probably himself. He aimed at the bandit's head and quickly clicked the trigger for the third time. Bang! Ah! Suddenly, the bandit screamed as he caught his private part where blood changed his pants into red color. Ay! Hua Fen was a little bit surprised that his attack misfired once again but still took care of the enemy. After taking down 2 bandits, his confidence rose to another level. Just as he reloaded the gun and aimed at 2 bandits who found out the man behind the death of their comrade, an arrow filled like lightning and struck the pistol in the hands of the merchant. As the pistol flew away from his hands and fell on the ground, Hua Fen looked for it, instead of taking another from the box. By the time the merchant found it, he was already surrounded by 3 bandits. It's over! Hua Fen knelt on the ground by closing his eyes to embrace death. He felt like he fought bravely. Just as one of the bandits was about to strike him down, a deep voice was heard from above. Chiu Kang, leave him alone. The 3 bandits looked towards the source of the voice and knelt on the ground before leaving to finish the remaining 3 adventurers. Hua Fen then raised his head but he found no one. In the end, including Hua Fen, 15 were taken as prisoners. All of the boxes were taken away by the bandits while he was taken to their hideout along with other prisoners with his eyes covered by a cloth. When he opened his eyes, what appeared before him is a street full of houses and people are roaming here and there. Is this a bandit's village? He wondered. He doesn't know where he was for all he could see steep hills and rocks around everywhere. The bandits took the goods somewhere while he and his fellow prisoners were taken to a dim-lit underground place where there are cells filled with people. This new batch was thrown into one of the empty cells. He sat in a corner dispiritedly like others and got busy with self-blaming. I should have hired higher realm adventurers. Those 10 gold coins cost me a hefty price. True to his occupation, he was disappointed that his goods were stolen away instead of caring about his current situation. However, just after a few minutes, a bandit arrived at the cell and grabbed him. Our leader wants to meet you. Come. As soon as he arrived at the hall that was filled with bandits, he found some of them, especially the middle-aged ones, quite familiar, although he couldn't put his finger on it. However, just as he saw the person sitting on a throne, Hua Fen was stunned in shock. Prince Wu. 2 weeks passed away in a blink of an eye. Genesis Weapon Store, Imperial City. Thank you for the purchase. Mark bowed with a smile as he handed over a box with a single-shot pistol and 20 bullets to a customer in exchange for 7 gold coins. As the customer left, Mark took his seat and nodded in satisfaction. After improving my luck by 1 point, everything seems to be going well. Right then, a carriage stopped before the entrance of the store and a lady stepped outside of it. The people in the neighborhood started to whisper among themselves as she walked into the store. As soon as Mark saw her, his facial expression changed immediately. Oh, boy. I guess it's time to close down the store. Alan went ahead to greet her. Welcome to Genesis, Ms. Lin. Lin Shui took out her sword and pointed at him. It's sparring time, Alan. Let's go. Chapter 24.1 The Lady Who Was Obsessed with Sword Fight, Part 1. Everything started 10 days ago. 10 days ago, Lin Mansion. Ha ha! Like every morning, Lin Shui was practicing by swinging a wooden sword 1,000 times. It was a warm-up before she starts to spar with a swordmaster. However, upon returning from the hunting trip, her training became intense from day 1. She doesn't want to be mercy at the hands of higher realm experts. At the same time, she isn't the type to overly depend on ether crystals to improve her strength. So far, she hasn't even taken the aid of ether crystals to break through. They just happened naturally while she was training in the sword. Right now, the only thing in her mind is to reach the realm of one with the sword, the highest level for swordsmen. However, The only problem is that even her teacher is only a swordmaster just like her. As for swordsmen who attain the pinnacle of the sword, she only heard of such people in fairy tales and read about those legends in the history books, but never seen one. Without any guidance, she could only depend on her own training regime. Ha ha! Lin Shui continued to swing with all her strength. Each swing of hers is so strong that the wind generated by it was making a small cut on a tree that was over 10 meters away from her. Shui Shui! A familiar voice called her from afar. She stopped swinging and turned her head to find a guard was escorting Song Yu and her 2 handmaidens. Song Yu had a big smile on her face as she was walking towards her. As they met, the heiress of the Song clan spoke about visiting the unique weapon store. Since Song Yu boasted so much about the looks of the store's staff, Lin Shui wanted to see whether it's true or not. So, she called it a day for training and accompanied her. It is early morning and the city was bustling with commoners and spirit warriors everywhere. At one of the unnamed alleys of the hangar district, a carriage entered. At first, the passers-by didn't give it that much importance as it was dragged by common horses. But then, the commotion arose when it was blocked by another carriage that was going in the opposite direction to hit the main street. Unlike the normal-looking carriage, this carriage was pulled by 2 large hounds that don't seem like normal. Since it is a narrow street with people going here and there, neither of the carriages have the space to evade each other. So, the wealthy man sitting inside the carriage told his coachman to drive them away. The coachman relayed the message of his master to a fellow black-robed coachman of the other carriage who narrowed his eyes in response. Leave away before you fall into trouble. The coachman of a normal-looking carriage warned the other. The wealthy man laughed when he heard it and ordered to crush them. The coachman hit the hounds with the whip, which responded with a loud bark at the horses to scare them. Nay, nay. As the horses were afraid and started to go back a step, the coachman suddenly disappeared and reappeared back at his spot. The only difference is that his hands were colored in blood while one of the hounds no longer has its head and the other was shivering in fear. Its neck was cleanly sliced and the head rolled on the ground. The commoners screamed in fear and the coachman was stupefied like a statue. Cleaning the blood with a handkerchief, the black-robed man spoke coldly, "Now, I give you 1 minute. Disappear from my sight or else, you and your master will disappear from this world." The coachman yelped in fear and hurriedly threw the corpse of the dead hound, shifted the other hound to the middle, turned around, and left quickly without waiting for his master's orders. Knock knock. I smell the stench of something. What did you do, Yao Ling? A voice was heard from inside the carriage. Nothing, Lady Lin. Just a beast. The horses then continued their way with everyone giving it the way in fear. Very soon, the horse carriage reached the store and the 4 ladies exited from it. The black-robed middle-aged guard stayed there. Welcome to Genesis. Just as they entered the store, what they witnessed is the appearance of Alan at the entrance. Lin Shui went into a daze for a second as her eyes fell on his face. Something struck her heart as she further looks into his aquamarine eyes that appeared indifferent. Alan then turned his head and spoke, "Big brother, Lady Song is here." Mark, who was arranging the bullets from his inventory into various boxes, abruptly raised his head and a glow appeared on his face as soon as he saw her. He instantly stopped his work and sprung his seat to welcome this favorite customer of his. As the 4 of them stepped inside the store, Lin Shui observed the interior. To her surprise, it was too clean. From her birth, she had great eyesight. She could spot even a dust particle as long as it is her view. However, she couldn't even find a tiny speck of dust particle in this store that was located in a rather poor neighborhood. It was indeed a surprise. On top of that, she found identical-looking pistols on the wall shelves. Her eyes were fixed on it while Mark came towards them. "Lady Song, you came here at a perfect time." Reaching her, Mark let out a comment with a smile. "Hey!" Song Yu was taken aback a little. Without asking him to clarify the meaning, she then said the reason for her visit: "I used all of the bullets in my hunting trip. That's why I came here to buy in massive amounts, at least 500 of them. How many you have currently?" 500. While Mark was indeed surprised, when he thought about it for a second, it doesn't appear abnormal considering her continuous purchases. At the same time, he was ecstatic to find such a buyer. Clearing his thoughts, Mark then replied, I have a little more than 200 of them, but I need to keep 100 of them for other pistol buyers. For now, I can sell about 100 bullets and deliver the rest of them within a few days. Mark didn't tell right away to not cause suspicion. He intends to let her believe that he was only a seller and not a maker. He knew that he would receive a similar fate as his past life if people know that he makes this unique weapon. At least, until he can sufficiently protect himself from unknown enemies, Mark wanted to keep it this way. Okay, that's fine. Song Yu nodded. Lady Song, our store received a sample of an advanced form of pistol. Would you like to see? Mark threw bait with the word pistol. And it was hooked almost instantly. Oh, an advanced form? Let's see it, right away. Song Yu even forgot her handmaidens and her best friend as soon as she heard of a new unique weapon. She followed him to the counter. Chapter 25, Hands Up in the Air. You say this one can shoot 6 consecutive bullets. Song Yu was enamored by this new weapon, which is lighter, has a better grip, and looks better than the previous one. Mark pointed the small button at the rear end of the cylinder. You have to hold on to it and then swing it out to open the chamber and load the bullets. As Mark demonstrated how to load the bullets, Song Yu was watching it carefully. Her face was glowing in happiness as she was learning a new thing that was unknown to most of the people in the world. Meanwhile, Lin Shui, who also followed Song Yu from behind, also takes a look at the revolver. However, from time to time, she couldn't help but glance at Alan, who was standing nearby like a statue. As for the handmaidens, they were giggling among themselves, as usual, commenting how handsome Lu Zhen and Alan are. Oh, so, it's like that, hair. Okay. First, let me see if it suits me or not. Feeling the revolver, she posed it with her finger on the trigger. As she pointed the revolver at everywhere while one of her handmaidens was ready with instant cameras to click the pictures, Mark thought that this girl would probably try to become a model if she was born in his past world. At the same time, he was also surprised to see a 20th century modern invention of his past world in her hands, even though it looked like it was made out of metal. According to his knowledge, the world shouldn't have this type of invention, at least, not yet. He inspected it. A magical image capturer. Grade, gold. Description: a unique invention by Master Blacksmith Shen Chao using wyvern's eyes as a catalyst and stainless steel as core material. When the trigger is pressed, a unique seal inside of the item will start absorbing the natural energy in the surroundings to capture the moment happening before it and recreates it anything that fits inside. Picture quality varies according to the material of the film. A thick sheet of paper is cost-effective. So, this one functions like a camera but not exactly one. Mark thought its inventor is really a genius. The steps are too simple actually. Despite being technologically backward compared to his past world, he felt that this world of ether energy really has enormous potential and has so much to offer. It made him further think about some of his weapon designs that couldn't be created because the experts thought they can only be created probably in 20 to 30 years when technology gets advanced. Mark wondered whether he could possibly create them replacing the required modern technology with ether energy. As he clenched his fist to control his excitement, suddenly, Song Yu, who was busy posing with the new revolver, pointed the weapon at him. Mark immediately raised his hands by habit, surprising the heiress of the Song family. Hey, what's that? She felt the theme even goes well with her revolver. Hands up. Hands up in the air? Her eyes lit up by finding a sentence that goes well with posing. Meanwhile, Mark, who realized his actions, cleared his throat and put his hands down. Lady Song, please be careful. It was loaded with bullets and I'm not a spirit warrior. Sorry about that. Song Yu giggled as she pointed it elsewhere. However, right then, she unintentionally clicked the trigger with her concentration else. Bang! A loud sound echoed across the room, making the handmaidens fall on their butts because of close distance. The civilians passing by flinched and got panicked, while the black-robed coachman who already witnessed the bullets in the forest didn't think too much of it and continued to wait. On the other hand, Lin Shue's eyes widened in shock, not because of the sound of the bullet. She was too familiar with it. Her eyes captured Alan, who moved like a flash and caught the tiny bullet that was about to hit one of the displayed weapons on a shelf. If she hadn't seen a bullet in his fingers, even she wouldn't have known whether he caught it or not. Alan then returned to his original place as if nothing happened. Oops! Oblivious, Song Yu just placed the revolver back at the counter and said, "I'll buy this along with 1,000 bullets. I'll pay advance in full, but I need them by next week. Can you do it?" 1,000? After hearing such a high amount, Mark forgot about the earlier accident and let out a big smile. "Sure. We offer to deliver services for those who pay 50% advance as long as it is within the city. So, if you tell the place, Alan will deliver the rest at the place." "Oh, that's nice. So, how much is for this revolver?" Song Yu asked him the price while readily taking out a storage pouch from her storage ring. "It's 20 gold coins for revolver and the 6 bullets loaded in it. As for the bullets, our store has an offer for purchase that exceeds 100 bullets in number. We give 10% more bullets as complimentary. So, instead of 1,000, you can just buy 900 bullets and get 990 bullets." Song Yu was taken aback a little bit, as the store owner was only making a loss by suggesting this. In the end, she nodded as she continued to take out gold coins one after the other. Within a minute, the top of the counter was filled with 200 glistening gold coins. The handmaidens looked like they were going to get a heart attack because of the shock. Meanwhile, a frown appeared on Lin Shui as Mark was smiling big as he was hurriedly collecting all the gold coins to keep them in the drawer. After all, 200 gold coins for an ungraded weapon does seem like a waste, but what can she do about this habit of hers? Her friend even bought that useless camera for 50 mid-grade quality ether crystals. 1 mid-grade quality ether crystal of 1 carat equals 100 gold coins. As Mark handed a box full of 100 bullets and a wooden box with a revolver, she patted her shoulder. "You, let's go." It was at that moment Song Yu finally realized the reason she brought her along with her. She then turned back to Mark. "Owner Lu, I forgot to introduce her. This is Lin Shui, my best friend. Her father is Minister of Personnel." "Nice to meet you, Lady Lin." Mark greeted her with a smile. He only glanced at her for a moment before turning back towards Song Yu. Since she isn't a customer, he doesn't feel the need to put extra hospitality to her.